Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to Real Estate with Ryan. So excited to be with you in the studios on a great weekend. Hope you guys having an amazing weekend. Getting started off on your Saturday. Always a pleasure to be with you guys talking about real estate. It's a busy time in the year, winding down July. It's hard to believe that July is coming in. Kiddos getting back to school. Time is flying. I say, Ryan, the older you get, the quicker it goes. I think that's a true statement. There's no questions. I know with kiddos, they keep you moving, they keep you hopping. Let's say we got a good show for you. A lot of real estate news going on and a lot of things in the marketplace. And we're going to start off with I thought was an appropriate show. The real estate market has been all over the board. With the presidential election, we're always talking about it. But it's true, with the Fed signaling several times that they're going to make rate adjustments, with the news of inflation, with everything that's going on in the political landscape. There's a lot of moving parts. How is it affecting East Tennessee housing market? How is it affecting you if you're thinking about buying or selling? And we're going to talk about how to navigate a changing real estate market. What can we do, Ryan? It's one of the biggest things that we're facing. I'm facing, my team is facing, and we're going to start off the news with Knoxville right in the forecast. And I thought this was always appropriate to talk about. So how do we navigate a changing real estate market? Are we in a recession? Are we in a buyer's market? Are we in a seller's market? What do we do? Is now the time to purchase, or do we hold? So we see a lot of different things in the landscape. We got the real estate things changing on the forefront there in August, and different things that will be done. So it's going to be an eventful year. We all knew, though, it's not a surprise, that the end of this year would always be eventful. We don't know what that would be. Hopefully things are positive and everything turns out good for everybody, but we just don't know where we're at. And uncertainty, how does that play for the market? If you're buying or selling homes today in today's real estate market, uncertainty is never a good thing. I was chatting with a great client yesterday, and that when buyers are uncertain, sometimes they hold back. Great agent that I was chatting with on setting up a showing. So I have several buyers that are looking, and she's setting up a tour this weekend. And one of the biggest things that she's going to talk about is that I think they're just trying to time the market, waiting to see what goes on. And so that's a challenge for all of us in the market. So we'll talk about that and so much more getting into real estate with Ryan. But I have some congrats before we're going to start the show. And we have to get to those and some new listings. Kind of let you know our team has been extremely busy this week. Got a new listing in Tellico Village, 106 Tecumseh Lane in Loudon. I hope I pronounced that right. I did the best I could there. 2221 Viewcrest Lane, Covered Bridge. Our backyard there, great building lot in Covered Bridge. Make sure you check that property out. 40 acres in Harriman, 786 Swan Pond Circle. That should hit the market next week. Make sure you check that out if you're a horse lover or land. It's a beautiful property with 40 acres. It's a must-see. Congrats to our great sellers under contract in Farragut, 624 Waterford Drive. Record time there. And then 7004 Ashley Court, back under contract. And congrats for our great sellers. So a lot going on, a lot of things moving. Hope your week's been amazing. And as always, thank you for tuning in and spending time with us. Always say you're part of the family. I think we're down to 36 days in East Tennessee. Football time. Not a better time in East Tennessee if you're of all. And if you're not of all, we like to convert you. Please follow our channels and all those different things, our social media, Facebook, Instagram, and things like that. Maybe you're watching our show on social media. You can always check out Real Estate with Ryan, News Talk 98.7 at 1 o'clock. We're streaming on all the Spotify, Google, Facebook, and channels. And then Talk Radio, 92.3 FM at 11 a.m. Make sure you check us out on those radio stations. We're always going live there. And in case you miss it, we're on social media for a replay. So talking about the real estate news, let's talk about Knoxville in whole. New article just came out on the news the other day. Knoxville is the fastest rising housing market in the country. Knoxville has the fastest rising property prices in the country over the last 5 years, with the median home listing price rising a whopping 83%. The data analyzed from Zillow and Agent Advice found that the median listing price in 2019 was 189,483, jumped to 347,303 by May of 2024. Homeowners and buyers nationwide are experiencing an affordability crisis, especially when affordable housing is low and at a low supply. The crunch has obviously hit Knoxville housing market, and a lot of you guys can see that. If you're thinking about buying or selling or renting, we're seeing that. The top 10 markets with the fastest rising property prices: Knoxville, Tennessee, 83%, Naples, Florida, 75%, Atlantic City, 73%, Ocala, Florida, 71%, Tampa, Florida, 70%, Port St. Lucie, Florida, 70%. Let's see here, Northport, Florida, 68%, Fayetteville, Arkansas, 68%, Miami, 68%, Hickory, North Carolina, 68%. So renters don't get much of a break here as well. Low supply means landlords are driving up prices as well. And Knoxville DMA is the fastest rent growth in the country since 2023. So those are some things that we're dealing with affordability. When you got a changing market, Knoxville is leading the charge with the price increases. Why is that? A lot of things from COVID and the housing market. We've experienced a lot of political landscapes across the country like no other. Some states that are taxing you on the way out. So you guys know about that. And so those things have changed. And with Knoxville being one of the, kind of East Tennessee as a whole, top 5 states that people are relocating, that's still there and still prevalent. We're still seeing a lot of people move in, not to the levels that we saw before, but we're starting to still see good pickup from out-of-state buyers. And that has has driven the prices in our area, right? Supply and demand is always going to control the marketplace. National Association of Realtors had some key findings on days on market and some different things. I won't go into a long story about these, but I thought some key findings were days on market fall to 22 days from 24 days, and an average of 2.9 offers, and then 29% of homes sold above list price. Due to the lacking housing inventory, the pace of the market uses technology that 7% of buyers purchased homes only on a virtual tour. I thought that was very important stat. We do a lot with our marketing. We're always telling our sellers, as you guys on the audience, it's always about marketing. And when a hot market, they sell in spite of itself, right? We stick a sign out. Before we could even stick a sign out, some of the properties we're selling. But now marketing is key, and it's important that we have the technology to leverage our out-of-state market. You can see the numbers have driven pricing up, but with our markets, 8 or 9% of buyers are buying homes sight unseen, but they're using technology to do that. So make sure when we're marketing a home, we have that technology to reach that 8 or 10% of the market. We saw that several properties were terminated last year, recently. 5% of contracts were terminated. And I was watching a little bit on the news today that the Florida market was experiencing the same thing. Several contracts due to affordability, termination, appraisal, inspection, a combination of reason there. So 16% of purchased properties were non-primary residents, so investment properties. They're down 18% from June of last year. 5% were purchased for vacation use, and that's down 7% 1 year over end. 1% of sellers actually bought to these iBuyers, and 2% of sales were distressed sales. So that kind of goes into the market, a little bit of what we're seeing year over year. How is inflation triggering the market? Obviously, the consumer price index rose by 6% in February, and then from a year ago. And so where does that fall with the Tennessee housing market, and some stats, kind of what we were going to talk about in a changing market. So whenever there's a recession, or if there's not a recession, it feels like a recession, what are some things that we need to do, and how do we address that? And that's what we're going to talk about. I think number one, most important, that most people don't realize is you've taken the time to probably interview agents, is number one, teamwork with your agent on a changing real estate market. It's so important. We always tell our sellers that when you're listing a property, it takes a great seller. It takes great teamwork to get it done, right? In anything that you do. So teamwork is the number one aspect with your agent. You got to understand and trust that they're going to give you the right marketing, the right price, and understand that you guys are in this together regarding your home on the market. Now, especially if the property is an investment property, these are things that we have to consider, time on market, rents, and things like that, seasonality. And our investment, as we winding down the first show here, going into our break, those are things, accessibility. And properties that we got in the Smokies, those have a challenge of getting into. Stay with us. We're coming Real Estate with Ryan here, second half. We'll be right back with you with Real Estate with Ryan.
Knoxville and East Tennessee. The region is known for its rolling hills, rivers, and lakes. There's no better place to work, live, or raise a family. Home is where your story begins. Buying or selling your home is a big decision, and you need a real estate team you can trust.
I'm Ryan Coleman with Hometown Realty, your hometown experts. Whether you're buying or selling a home, let us develop a winning game plan for you.
Hometown Realty is East Tennessee's #1 real estate group and a proud sponsor of the Vols.
I'm Ryan Coleman with Hometown Realty. The real estate market's changing every day. You need to know your home's value in today's market. Text your home address to 290-2290 for an instant, no obligation home evaluation. That's 865-290-2290. And remember, when you're ready to sell, we have a guaranteed sale program to get you in your next home stress-free. Trust your hometown experts. We've helped thousands of people just like you. All right, we're coming back, Real Estate with Ryan, chatting with you a little bit about what do you do in a changing real estate market. Obviously, if you watch the real estate market, it's been all over the board. We know it's going to be volatile. We know 2024, is that hard to believe? 2024, before you know, it'll be 25. What would be eventful? And not sure if we knew it'd be exactly like this, but how are we going to navigate? What are we going to do? Ryan, I need to sell and relocate out of town. Or I've got my investment property on the market. I need to sell it. These are things we're talking about second half and covering so much. Before we get into that, let's go into our vol update, 60-second vol update. Let's make it real short, real quick. All right, drum roll, please. 60-second vol update. All right, we're going over the Vols. You know, we're 34 days to football time in East Tennessee. Want to give you an update there. Make sure there's several recruiting. The Vols are in top place for a lot of high recruits for our program. Looking really great. And want to make sure you guys are tuned in and make sure you don't miss out. All you got to do is follow our channels, Facebook, Instagram. All you got to do is like, subscribe, share it to a friend. Watch out here real closely. We've got a lot of new stuff that's coming out. And we're going to send you to the game. It's going to be sold out. It's going to be hard to get tickets and a parking pass. All you've got to do is just get subscribed to our channels. It's great. It's a great opportunity. We do it every year. We like to send you to the game. It's on the house. It's free. All you got to do is like, subscribe, and share to a friend. We're going to send you and a friend to the game. So make sure we do that. We love doing that. It's football time. And that's all because we're proud sponsor of the Vols. Go Big Orange. All right, that's my Vol 60-second update. I'm trying to get everybody ready. 34 days to football time in East Tennessee. And what's better on a Saturday? There really isn't nothing. In Neyland, great people, great time, a little football. Excited for our program this year. I know you guys are as well. Thank you for tuning in. And let's get back into the show. If you guys are out there and thinking about selling this year, we always have a lot of opportunities and ways we can help you in the process. And we know it is a process, right? Buying or selling, it's not, sometimes you're ready to talk to me. Sometimes we're not in that position. We've got a lot of opportunities where if you're wanting to know where we need to be price-wise with the markets changing like it is, but you don't want to immediately call us outright, you can give us a text. Just text us. It's convenient. We won't bother you, but we'll give you real-time information. My team works around the clock, around the weekends. We'll get right back to you with a real evaluation of your home, obviously sight unseen, but with a lot of information that you can provide to us. It's a good starting point, especially with the market changing and numbers changing. It puts you in the right position to know how to make the decisions moving forward as we close out 24. Grab a pen or remember the number. It's an easy number, and you can text us at your convenience, okay? Phone number is 865-290-2290. That's 865-290-2290. 290. Text us at your convenience. Give me your address, any info you want. We'll get right back to you with a property evaluation. Doesn't cost you anything. I think that's very knowledgeable leading into this market. What do we do, Ryan, and the market's changing on us? It's obviously changing, right? It's been changing for a while. Last year, a lot of people in 2023 were setting on the interest rates, we're setting back, and we're trying to time the market, right? A lot of the market is changing for a combination of reasons, right? Our inventory is still relatively low, but it still has increased. In 2023, our inventory was 1,500 homes in January and February. That's quite a difference now that we're approaching almost 5,000 homes in the market. We're about 4,800 homes. We see inventory has risen, right? So we've seen it on the rise, and we see pending sales down to a certain degree. News media came out the other day and said, I think it was April, May, and June, but definitely May and June, they were down 5%. So sales are down across the board. Consumer confidence is not 100% where we need to be for a multitude of reasons. We talked about Knoxville in the first half of the show, ranked for number one. What's good, number one, always be number one, but pricing might not be the best option or award for Knoxville. It's 83% has increased as the most non-affordable, right? Non-affordable pricing, not only in the housing market, rental markets, right? Just finding rentals is very, very challenging. So things that you're going to be facing, how to handle this changing market, and what to know. I talked in the first segment about working with your agent and teamwork, and it really is that teamwork carrying over here. You have to have that relationship. You have to have those conversations and working and trust your agent through this process. So having a great team is important. All right. I've got an amazing team over here that we work with, and they help our clients from start to finish. So we do a really good job, and I know not promoting us or not promoting us, but if you ever give us an opportunity, we'd love to interview for that job because it is a changing market and more communication has to be there so we can help you understand that. Know your market. You as a seller, we did a show just a couple weeks ago about how to know your home's value and what's important that goes into it. But now you need to know your housing market and your landscape. We need to know what's pending in your marketplace. One of the best opportunities that you can do, won't cost you anything, go to our app. We give you all the pending data at your fingertips. Just look up on, Apple or Google or anywhere like that they've got apps, and look up Hometown Realty Real Estate. Free app, download it. And what I would encourage you to do, let's say you're in the Knoxville area in the 37922 area code, put that in, put your price range. If you're in 400,000 to 600,000, put that in, watch the pendings. We can text you to know the market updates. That is one of the most opportune things a seller can do in this market, especially if you're thinking about watching the market, engaging the market. Several markets that we bought in, one of the things we would always do is watch pending sales, the conditions of the home, the pricing, the days on the market, and that would give me a gauge of what we're selling. Why is that important, you say? Because the home's worth what a buyer and a seller are willing to pay. And now you're knowing exactly real data what a buyer's willing to pay. Remember, the market has changed dramatically. We can't look at what happened, sales that were in October of 2023. You want to look at sales that really are happening in the last couple of weeks, but definitely in the last 60 days. So that's why pendings are most important in the marketplace. Now, we know that new construction across the board is a challenge. If you're in some of these areas like Carnes, Hardin Valley, or any area probably out here, you're experienced that as a seller, one of your biggest competitions is new construction. Know what those prices are. Know what incentives those builders are offering. Know what the conditions are. We always encourage you that if you're putting your home on the market, we've taken several clients out, and before we listed the price, we've taken an opportunity to tour what our competing homes are, and especially if new construction is out there and competing. It's a very good thing to understand how to price your home and where to be, because remember, buyers are determining value by comparison shopping. And you know what? New construction is always a competition. Everybody loves a new home, new car, right? So that doesn't mean that that's what the buyer selection will be, but we do need to know that if we're pricing it where we need to be. Understand the market. Why are we selling? It's the most important thing we ask our sellers. And, a lot of times our motivation really is going to come down to what we do in the marketplace. So be committed to what you're doing. And maybe now is not the time to sell. But nobody knows where the market is in the future. I still think it's a healthy time to buy and sell in the marketplace. I think buyers have now had opportunities to open up, which we have not seen for a while. Sellers, we're still getting prices pretty quickly. We just talked about it. We're getting multiple offers. They're down some, but we're still getting offers that make sense. Marketing is now more important than ever. When you're choosing an agent, that's why we do this show every week to kind of get a feel of different things that we do. I encourage that you interview a couple agents, and obviously we'd love to be honored to interview with you because marketing is key. We talked about the amount of people that are relocating out of state, but also in state, making sure that your marketing's reaching those, that communication's open, that feedback is there, because we're setting a little bit longer days in the market. Make sure that you got a team that you trust that's working for you. Let's see. Make every showing count. It's hard. You got fur babies, you got children, combination of things. But if you get a request, try to do your best to make that request. We never know when buyers are in and out of town, their timing, and we want to get in there as possible. All right. If it's a rental, very, very important. Make sure you have your expenses. Make sure you have your leases. If there's a property management agreement, make sure you have a copy of that. And make sure, we talked about in the first segment, 8% of homes are being bought online. They're not even seeing the properties. Make sure you got an agent that's marketing virtual tours, things that need to be done to expose that buyer so that if you can't get in the property, right, if it's rented on a weekend, we can give them a strong virtual tour. They can measure where the appliances and things go like that in their bedroom, and then we can maybe get them on a change out during cleaning or at a different time. Patience, patience, patience. As we wind the show down, understand that the property may be on the market a little longer. I know it's easy to say, hey, it's, the property's not selling, Ryan, because it's your fault. And we understand that it's a changing market and there's a lot of different things going on. But have patience. Work together as a team. If you're having the teamwork, understand that the market and things that we're changing are different dynamics, and understanding those that y'all work together and have a successful sale. Hope you guys have an amazing weekend. We look forward to seeing you back next weekend.